From our studios here in Accra and around the world, good afternoon. Welcome to the Friday's edition of the Pulse here on Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible journalism. And this afternoon, the eyes of the world on Ghana, because in some few minutes, the African Games is expected to open in Accra. President Akufo-Addo and other African leaders are already in attendance, as many African talents are showcased at the event starting today at the University of Ghana. Also coming up, the stroke crisis. Hospitals now reporting significant surge in stroke cases. The latest being the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, which is reporting a 500% increase.
What we used to do was you admit the person and start aspirin. But those drugs in the past does not dissolve the clots that has been formed. And so the person will have a permanent disability.
And celebrations are taking place in Ghana and around the world to commemorate womanhood. We have stories from parts of the country and get to hear from NGOs, Send Ghana, which is calling on government to invest in women to advance gender equality.
The affirmative action bill has to be implementable, which means that we have to ensure that it is able to do what it needs to do across sectors and across socioeconomic levels and across different scopes of life.
These and many more here on The Pulse. My name is Elton Brobe. It's a pleasure to be with you. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Digilu, affordable, safe sanitation for all. We're live on DSTV on channel 421, Gold TV 125. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and myjoyonline.com. These and more coming up shortly. Welcome back to The Pulse here on Joy News. It's Friday. Let's the weekend begin and let's celebrate our mothers. Time for our women. We mark our International Women's Day with stories focusing on them. First, in a world where creativity knows no bounds, Sewa, a trailblazing photographer, is using her lens to redefine success on this International Women's Day. With a passion that has fueled her entire life, Sewa has emerged as a beacon of inspiration for women thriving in male-dominated sectors. There's more in this report.
This is for my ladies in the house. And my
background set, camera, light, click. Sometimes a pose will do too, and clicking away behind the camera is Sewa. Her journey through the pip of the camera has been extraordinary. With 6 years of professional experience under her belt, she has not only captured breathtaking moments, but has also shattered stereotypes along the way. In the setting of a male-dominated creative sector, Sewa's unwavering determination continues to propel her to new heights.
Source of income for me because I'm from a broken house, and due to photography, I didn't see a lot of. I saw challenges, but photography has been the source of my discipline now. I've always been in the male field, like sports and all the others. So getting a career that men are really dominated in it, it's something I like.
But what is a secret to success in a world where women are often overlooked?
I get some bookings and I'll go, and then we see that the woman was the one who booked me. The man doesn't believe in me. Like Oban saw a photography there. So whenever you have the gender look, you need to work hard and push harder. That's the only thing I tell people. So since I'm a female, if I'm pushing harder and I'm getting to the standard of some of the male photographers, I think people will notice me.
Yeah. So. Sewa believes by embracing various sectors, women can unlock their true potential and pave the way to their own success.
I want to tell the women that they should also try engineering, camera operation and other stuff like IT. They should put themselves in those sectors. It will rather push them higher than them pushing. I'm not saying nursing is a bad thing, but I feel like if you guys are all tracked there, it wouldn't push you guys so much. So they shouldn't be scared in doing things that men.
They should take the bold step.
They should take the bold step.
This year's International Women's Day theme resonates deeply with her. She passionately calls for increased support for women in the creative industry.
The support for women is really less in this country, and I'm hoping if they can do so much about it. They can invest in us. It doesn't take an inch if you say, Sewa, I bought you a camera, take and use. And I mean, that camera can allow me to also support 5 or 10 women in this country.
As we celebrate International Women's Day, Sewa's story serves as a testament to the resolute spirit of women. Through her lens, she captures not just moment, but also the essence of empowerment. Happy Women's Day to women across the globe. I am Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah, a woman in media.
Okay, this is the strength of a woman. Ain't nobody better than the boss chick.
So we're celebrating women today, and NGO Send Ghana is calling on government to invest in women to advance gender equality. Joining me via Zoom is Dr. Emmanuel Ayifa, Deputy Country Director for Send Ghana. Dr. Ayifa, you're welcome to the pulse on Joy News.
Thank you. Good afternoon, my brother.
Great.
For having me.
So today is World International Day to celebrate our mothers, and you say that government should invest more to advance the cause of women. What exactly are you putting forth?
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we are looking at the fact that investing in women would directly go to contribute to our efforts in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The SDG Goal 5 focus on women empowerment and gender equality. And for us as SEN, considering the lot of work that we've done as far as issue of gender is concerned, we think that promoting gender equality would advance achieving all the other SDGs. And indeed, this year's International Women's Day, the focus globally has to do with the fact that it's important to try as much as possible to inspire inclusion. By inspiring inclusion, we look at those who are actually disadvantaged, and that is women. For that matter, we are rallying on the global call for us as a country to invest in women's physical health, invest in women's education, invest in women's leadership, and the like. It might interest you to know that if you look at Ghana's voluntary national review that we do on the SDGs, I think yearly or so, the latest report shows that yes, as a country, we are making progress generally.
Yeah.
However, there are certain aspects that we need to look at, and clearly talks about issues of leadership in terms of women's leadership in key positions, looking at ministerial positions, looking at chief directors and other key relevant positions. Yes, we know that over the past few years, we've seen some leaders in very key positions. But one may ask, why is it that we have, in terms of our proportion to men and women as a population, we have more women, but when it comes to key leadership positions, we have more men than women. We are not saying that we should just decide to give women the position if they do not deserve it. That is why we are saying that it's important for, as a country to invest in women. Aside leadership, we are looking at the statistics that is talking about issues of physical violence, sexual violence, and the like, which women are disproportionately affected. But if there is that clear, specific undertaking to invest in the cause of women, which of course government is doing, but we think that government can do better. We've had the affirmative action bill sitting there for God knows how long.
Right.
We understand that it's currently in Parliament, and so we believe that when affirmative action bill is also passed, it is also going to help. We are not calling on just government, because it's not just government alone.
Before we get to that, Mr. Ife, before we get to that, I mean, let's spend some time on the investment aspect. Let's start from the base. And if you have been looking at the last statistics, those who went to write the BEC, more females rather than males reported to write the exam, meaning more females are now going to school. no one is being left behind. At least if you want to look at the statistics of those who wrote the BEC is concerned, it means that more women or more females are now leaving the kitchen or the home and now going to school. But in terms of investment, what more should the government do? I mean, the government will say that the environment has been created for everybody to flourish. Do you suggest that there should be a deliberate policy to push women further in terms of in politics, in leadership position? How deliberate should the government be?
Thank you. I believe, yes, it is a welcoming news to know that, yes, in terms of BEC examinations, we had more women. And then we do work in education as well. So but we're happy to have seen that. But what our call now, as far as today is concerned, we are saying that, yes, government is doing well. As I indicated, the VNR report actually hit it hard on that. Yes.
Well, I think we are losing Dr. Ayifa there because of bad connection. We'll try and bring him back on so we can go on with this conversation as we celebrate International Women's Day. And the St. Ghana's call is on government to do more to empower more women, especially in leadership positions. Remember that some time back, or even in this current parliament, the AU has a quota that parliaments on the continent should have at least some percentage of seats reserved for women, even though it is a competitive environment. Ghana, we are far below the AU, ratio for women representation in our parliament. So what more can be done to ensure that this is the political parties in their own wisdom when it comes to filing and paying the fees to contest, especially in their parliamentary primaries and presidential primaries? They've always waived some aspect for women. But when it comes to contesting itself, it's always a level playing field. And most women, especially those we have spoken to, and very soon you want to hear Dr. Zanetta Rawlings, who says that, when it comes to the real work that is competing for the position, it's very difficult if you don't have the financial muscle to go out and make an impact. Plus the stigma that comes to associate with women who are doing so. And I'm sure that we'll do a lot more on this matter if we are able to re-establish contact with Dr. Ayifa. On International Women's Day, we also we'll be doing more on this matter here on the pulse as we look at women who have done more to break the glass ceiling, as it always described. So Doc, thank you very much for having you back on this. We're talking about what more can government do to empower women. Do you suggest a deliberate policy to help advance that cause?
Yes, that is exactly our point, that it should be targeted. It should be intentional.
How?
Because, yes, one, it is important, first of all, to try to pass the Affirmative Action Bill, which actually contains a lot of these policy initiative directives that will really go to intentionally help the cause of women. Secondly, we do a lot of budget work, budget advocacy, public financial management. Gender responsive budgeting is one of the means. By that, once we have a gender responsive budget across all sectors, that will mean that we are necessarily going to be intentional in allocating resources specifically for the needs of women. If we take agriculture, then we are going to look at the budget that will promote women, smallholder farmers. If you take health, then we'll be intentional in looking at the budget, certain specific allocation that is going to help in terms of certain maternal health outcomes. If you take women empowerment and leadership and entrepreneurship, that will mean that if you look at our national budget, we'll be intentional in looking at women-specific activities or things that will really go to improve upon their capacity to also be where we expect them to be. So by being intentional, we can use the budget as one of the key means, focusing on gender responsive budgeting. Another aspect is what I spoke about, the Affirmative Action Bill. Once I know it is passed, and I'm using this opportunity, if the president is watching us or the gender minister or whoever is watching us, especially our MPs, they should be quick in passing the bill. And when it gets to Mr. President, your table, all that we are calling for is that please be as quick as possible to indeed append your signature to the affirmative action bill. And I don't think that it is just passing the bill alone that will work. Yes, it's important. When the bill is passed, we have to look at implementing the actions that are in there. I think when we do this, it is going to help. But I know what the household level also has some role to play. We are in Kumasi now having an event, and one adolescent indicated that one key challenge is that sometimes at the household level, parents sometimes do not give them the chance to really do what they have to do. And so we believe that
the females, right? The females.
Yes, exactly, the females. Government can do it bit, but at the household level, how are we also encouraging the female child? We have a model at Ghana called gender model family that we use to ensure gender equity in the household. We need to really desist for gender stereotyping. And so that once we do all this, with government intentionally investing in women, and with household also intentionally investing in women, I believe that, yes, we are going to attain the sustainable development indicator of trying as much as possible to ensure gender equity. That is what I believe.
Yeah, so Dr. Ifa, I mean, because you brought in the issue of the affirmative action and the fact that it has dragged so long in Parliament, even though I think that from where I sit as a journalist, even for the female MPs in Parliament, they've not really been vocal in terms of putting pressure on government or Parliament to fast track it. But that's just by the way. Remember also that we are about heading to the 2024 elections. All the political parties, they've had their parliamentary primaries. They've elected their parliamentary candidates. They gave special waiver to female aspirants. Some paid half of the filing fee. Now, I'm sure that same will be done for as you go to the election proper. The Electoral Commission have made it clear that they may also provide some waiver. And then the female politicians are saying that that is not enough. I mean, the real work is competing to win. And if you don't have the financial muscles and you don't have what it takes to compete at the same level with your male counterpart, it makes it difficult for some of them to emerge victorious in their various fields. Have we come to the point where we may have to overlook the competitive nature of our election process and say that in view of the AU ratio, in terms of the representation we should have in parliaments in Africa, let us look at ways of getting more women represented in parliament rather than through the competitive system. What do you say to this?
So what I would say, and it's true what you said. Let me still get you back to the VNI report, which actually spoke about, and the statistics there spoke about the fact that, yes, in terms of parliamentary representation of women, it has increased to some extent compared to probably the last two elections. However, there's still much to be done. And it's true. The fact that now for you to even get through to be an MP, virtually you need huge financial muscle.
Right.
And you know that there's huge gender wage gap in our country. And so that alone is even the first step for the women not even having what it takes for them to even, first of all, bid for the parliamentary seat, so to speak. So yes, we are actually not calling for the fact that if women are not fit, put them there. But we can try to intentionally put certain things in place to make sure that beyond the woman just buying the form to apply, we could also try to distill this whole essence of monetization of our.
Again, I think we are losing Dr. Ifa there because of connection challenges. If we're able to re-establish contact with him, we'll conclude on this matter, looking at the Labour Act and the fact that the Member of Parliament for Medina is seeking through a private member's bill to have the Labour Act amended so that Parliament can come to a conclusion to extend the maternity leave and also make it punishable.
Of our politics, so try hard as possible to indeed Yes, you expect that the men parliamentarians who overshadow the women, considering the proportion of males to females in parliament. And so, yes, we do understand, but the party should be intentional about some of these things. For me, I was surprised that both the recent MPP parliamentary primaries that went on and also the NDC parliamentary primary that went on. I was surprised to have seen some of the women falling. And for me, it doesn't really go well for the advancement of what we want to see in terms of women in leadership. Because the point is that even most of the ministers are selected from parliament.
Right.
And so if you don't
the constitutions are 50 plus more.
Exactly. If you don't get a lot of women into parliament, it means that the status quo will remain where we have very few women in our ministerial positions and in other key positions. So we think that it starts from the political parties. The electoral commission can do very little because for them they depend on who the parties present.
Right, absolutely.
And so if you really want more women to be in and also not only political leadership, there are other ways. I mean, multimedia it's a business entity, but I believe multimedia can also be intentional about promoting women in certain key positions. The same with my organization, Send Ghana. The same with other entities that really are espousing the need for us to encourage women to really strive hard to be in certain key positions in life. Right. And you know, my brother, you know that when women actually are in certain key positions, even let's start from our homes. If there's no food on the table, if there's no money, the woman will always strive hard to find food, at least for the family. And I believe that it is the same. I'm really looking forward to a time, and very soon, where Ghana will decide that, yes, we want to vote for a woman as a presidential candidate. And I believe that, yes, it should come soon.
Right. Dr. Ifa, just briefly on this question, so that I can bring in my parliamentary correspondent who's also been monitoring events in Parliament. I was talking about the fact that the member of Parliament for Medina is in Parliament. He's seeking, he's seeking his colleagues to support a private member's bill that is seeking to amend the Labour Act, and basically to say that the maternity leave, for example, should be extended from the current 3 months to at least 4 or 5 months. And then also there should be punishment for employers that take the decision to dispense of the services of females that, get pregnant whilst in active employment. What do you say to this?
Perfectly agree to this. I perfectly agree. I think it's honorable to so
yes,
already.
Absolutely. Yes.
Send Ghana, we do a lot of budget advocacy work. And as far as 2018, every time we kept on pushing for the fact that it's important to make maternal leave up to 6 months. And so for us at Send Ghana, we are happy that the Honorable MP is putting this call up in Parliament. The fact is that in terms of nutrition, we say that mothers to exclusively breastfeed their kids up to 6 months. And if our Labour Act does not enjoin mothers to also have leave for 6 month period, then how are we going to promote the exclusive breastfeeding of 6 months?
Yeah.
And we know that exclusive breastfeeding within the first 6 months is critical for the cognitive development and for the future growth of infants. So we support this call. We think it's a good call. And also the call for organizations that dispense of women because when their 3 months period elapsed, they do not seem to support them. We think that, yes, that's also a good call. There should be punitive measures for organizations that do so. Because the fact is that, womanhood is biological. It is not anybody's making. And we, all of us, need to try and support them. In that respect, there could also be supportive services from government in terms of when the woman even exceeds the 6 months. I believe that after the 6 months, the baby is still not that grown. So you could have terms where the woman will come to work and probably close early, stay 2 o'clock or so, and then go early to attend to the baby.
Okay.
Or we could also have supportive services where they can have even daycare service quite close to their office. So I think it's a good call. St. Ghana is in support of this, and I believe all of us who are interested in the development, not just of the woman, but of our children and of our nation, Ghana, we need to rally behind this call and support the agenda.
All right, thank you very much for your time this afternoon on the Pulse. Dr. Ayifa, Deputy Country Director for Non-Governmental Organizations, St. Ghana. Let me take you to Parliament now because the International Women's Day dominated discussions on the floor. Correspondent Kwaku Asante joins me via Zoom. Kwaku, so how was the response to this beautiful day set aside to celebrate our mothers?
Elton, MPs marked this very important day in Parliament with a statement by the caretaker Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. So she delivered a statement, delivering and insisting that Parliament needs to take urgent action to pass the affirmative action bill. We had comments from both the minority and majority side who all chipped in and talked about how this is an internationally recognized day and want Parliament to mark it as such. In fact, MPs all came in, the female MPs, they came in dressed in a very similar fashion. Of course, they've been mourning, so most of them are in black, but their scarf, the women, almost all of them wearing the same scarf with the mauve color, pink, that kind of coloring that it did come in with today. So that was the first leg of it. So how Akumsi making the point in terms of how they expect, the women in Parliament expect that the Parliament of Ghana will take urgent action on the affirmative action bill, pass that bill as
I think the connection is not really our best. Yes, Kwaku, please go on.
Mr. Ayifa. Yeah, we've already heard from people like Mr. Ayifa who've all made the point that Parliament needs to take some urgent action on this affirmative action bill. It had been part of the IMF conditionalities, and so it ordinarily would have come to Parliament by way of a certificate of urgency. It did come that way, but the Speaker of Parliament at the time did not allow it because, in fact, I remember the comments he made that the Parliament of Ghana would not be dictated to by that this is such an important bill that they want to take their time and take it through the various proceedings. So that is it by way of the International Women's Day. MPs coming together by partisan way, asking Parliament action bill.
And then away from that, what else happened on the floor? I understand that before they rose, they agreed to approve this $300 million loan, which earlier generated some heated debate on the floor.
Yes, Elton, I'd say all that was false alarm because the minority MPs had created a certain scenario as though hell was coming to fall on Parliament today, and that there was no way in heaven or in Ghana that they were going to allow government borrow up to $300 million. That government says is going to support the 2024 budget. In fact, from the minority leader to the last person that spoke, they made significant points about how government continues to borrow, piling up government's debt, and so they were going to allow that. Of course, the finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, offered some explanation in terms of why this was necessary. He was backed by his deputy, Madam Abdul Siasari, who all explained that this is so crucial, 300 million, and the terms and conditions are quite flexible in their opinion, and that Parliament should approve it because it will be needed to support the 2024 budget. The minority side, I should say, led by Dr. Tuforsin, said, of course, that the public debt was so high, and so they did not want this loan to go through. But also spoke about the tax exemptions that are currently before Parliament to say that if you bring some tax exemption to the tune of $7 billion, in Tuforsin's words, then you don't need $300 million from the World Bank, for instance. And so because of that, we are not going to approve it. But there was some back and forth until the finance minister actually assured them that in the next 2 weeks, he will come to Parliament and revise or review some of the current exemptions that have been on the table for so long. Some of the exemptions have been in Parliament for up to 2 years, and the House is yet to take any decision on that. Businesses who need this to be able to move to the next stage of their work have all been struggling and waiting for Parliament to do so. The minority side have been blocking the passage of those. And so the minister says he will look at those exemption requests that are currently before the House, and then will come appropriately if you will withdraw some of them or take some action. So there was some back and forth. In fact, the appointment committee sitting that was ongoing had to be stopped because the majority and minority side all needed their MPs to come to the floor because there was expectation that there will be a vote by division or something of the sort. But as soon as the debate ended, they put a question, and in the opinion of the speaker, the ayes had it, the law was approved. Some NDC MPs from the bank bench got up to try and challenge this for division. Their leadership asked them to take their seats, and that was it. 300 million now to hit government coffers to support the 2024 budget.
And 24 hours after the reported death of John Kumar, is the House still in a somber mood? Somber mood, if you like.
Yes, in fact, up until this morning, MPs, all of them, clad in black for what was a very somber occasion. Indeed, before the Minister for Fisheries and the caretaker Minister for Gender, Hawa Kumisen, would deliver her statement on International Women's Day, she asked Parliament to commemorate a 1-minute silence in memory of the late fallen Member of Parliament, and they did do that. And in fact, during the debate in the lead up to the approval of this loan, one of the MPs retorted off the record that this is a day that you are mourning one of your former deputy finance ministers and you'll bring a loan to Parliament to approve and all that, but eventually was. So there was a somber mood right from the morning till up to the time the loan was about to be approved, and then the House degenerated, went back to chaos, back and forth, some fights here and there, and then the loan was approved, the House was adjourned. The expectation is that by next week, the family would have officially informed the Speaker of this. A statement will be made on the floor, and MPs will now officially be able to comment on this death of the former Member of Parliament and the Deputy Minister for Finance.
Thank you very much. Gokwa Santi is a parliamentary correspondent, giving us an update on matters that took place on the floor. And as you heard him say, MPs are still mourning the death of Dr. John Kumar. Very soon we'll take you to the residence, the late Deputy Finance Minister's residence, where the Vice President and some high-ranking government officials from the presidency are there to commiserate with the bereaved family. And we are still on the International Women's Day, Martha, and we'll shine a spotlight on a female whose Tyler defiles the odds in a male-dominated profession.
$100 million women and girls be living in extreme poverty by 2030 if steps are not taken to close the gender gap. In view of this, the United Nations is marking the International Women's Day with a message to the world to prioritize gender-responsive financing.
I was first a food vendor. I sold food in an estate. It's true there I saw Tyler. I look at how he was styling and I thought I can do it. So I approached him. He told me straight that styling is not meant for female, so I shouldn't even venture. I met an NGO. They were training youth in construction. There, I wanted to choose styling, but because of what the guy told me, I chose interior decoration, thinking that is a field for female. So along the line, I saw that 95% of the youth found in under the project were all into interior decoration. So I told the leaders if I can change the course. So from there, I changed the course from interior decoration to tiling. After my training from home, even my sister that I was living with, she wasn't too sure that the training I'm going to have is going to benefit me. So at times when I even come back and complain that I'm having body pains, she will be like, you want to go into it, so face it. And then I'd never met anybody who encouraged me apart from the NGO. Everybody was discouraging me because they think it's a no-go area for female.
Na me dear me kan say meme adwuma. Ba true me nuano na me hu say adwuma be ma betumi aye no. Oba nso betumi aye. Etu ono ni dia me mesua firi ho. Ebedu me bi me ka say dia me nso me di na chi bi. E ma kwasua na me boa no site.
I actually got to know Doris through an interview video a friend shared with me. And from that video, I realized, yes, this is the right lady to work with. We plan to organize a female tiling training for our partners, that's Ghana TV Service. We are actually working with 2 of their schools and wanted to empower the females to be part in the engineering sector. So we actually wanted to organize a project in tiling, and we're looking for a female expert to train the ladies. But that female expert could be like a role model or someone that could coach or mentor the female students to be able to learn more in the tiling. So from the video I watched, I realized Doris is the right person. We actually got to know she was the ambassador for Artisans Association of Ghana. He has done a lot of projects in West Hill and other places. So from there I realized Doris is a very hard-working person. He has the passion to see her fellow female having the skills to be able to work, to be able to earn enough for themselves. So we're very, very happy to have Doris to be the main person to train the female.
A woman in the technical field is not an easy job. And when I see her do what she does, I feel okay. And I feel inspired to the extent that I know that I can also do it because she has been able to do it. So if I keep pushing, I can also do better.
I can boldly say that I will empower a lot of female and then male. I'm so happy and very proud of myself and my girls as well. They are also happy to be around me, which had made them to even move from their comfort home just to come and be with me. So we all stay in the same home as a family. I'm very happy. So with this, I want to tell all female out there that construction is not meant for only male. If you want to do it and you are determined, you will get there.
Without tiling, there is no future for me. Because my auntie is in the male-dominated sector, it really inspires me in all aspects of my life. Whether it being academic, financially, anyway, what men can do better. My auntie is doing that. She's an inspiration to me. She's a star, and I look up to her because she's a role model to me.
This is a pause here on Joy News. My name is Elton, but we're taking a short break. We shall be back. You're welcome back to the pause, and we'll continue with our coverage of 24 hours after the demise of the Member of Parliament for Adwoso in the Ashanti region, former Deputy Finance Minister John Kumah. And this afternoon, the Vice President and some leading figures in the government, including the Chief of Staff, are at the residence of the late MP and former Deputy Minister. Let me take you live there now because my colleague Kenneth Jesse is covering this visit.
Right, Elton, as you rightly mentioned, we're currently at the residence of the late Deputy Finance Minister and MP for Adwoso, Dr. John Kumah, whose sudden death was announced yesterday. In your shot, you can see some dignitaries pay a visit to the family. The Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is here. The Chief of Staff, Fremo Osei-Opare, is here. The Chairman of the New Patriotic Party is also here. You have some of the biggest names in the New Patriotic Party and in government all here. When they came here about 20 minutes ago, they were welcomed by the family, and then the family narrated how the sad event occurred. They said he was flown in from Germany to Ghana for the 6th March celebrations, and he went to the Ashanti region, Kumasi, Adwoso, where his constituency is. and they realized that his health had deteriorated, so he was not even able to attend the Independence Day parade that was held in the region. His doctor was flown from Accra to Kumasi to go and attend to him. They realized that his situation had gotten worse, so they decided to get him back to Accra for further medication. He was supposed to be flown by air, but doctors advised that he is brought to Accra by road because he needed oxygen during that transportation. Unfortunately, on the way, he couldn't make it to Accra and suddenly died at the age of 45. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Fremosel Pare, and other bigwigs of the party have already signed their book of condolences upstairs of this house. And the widow, who is survived by the widower, and then she has 6 children. She's here. The family, they're all here. The Vice President has informed the family that they should be made aware of any arrangement concerning the funeral. Government will, in its capacity, support them with anything that will be needed, because aside being a family man, he was also a statesman who served as a deputy minister for finance. He became MP at Jusso in the 2020 elections after serving as the National Entrepreneurial Innovative Program CEO. So he actually hasn't served his first term yet in Parliament, and he would have been seeking re-election in December to see if the people will re-elect him to go to Parliament again for a second term. He went unopposed during the primaries of the New Patriotic Party. So in your short now, as I've mentioned earlier, the family is having an interaction with members of the New Patriotic Party and members from government.
So earlier visuals from the residence of the late Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. John Kumah, who passed on yesterday. The Vice President, the Chief of Staff, the Chairman of the MPP, all currently at the residence to commiserate with the bereaved family. And the visuals were seen on Joy News. This is what we got when they arrived at the residence of the late John Kumah. And you heard my colleague Kenneth Jesse. The Vice President is already written in the book of condolence, opened in memory of the late John Kumah, and then also assured that government will provide any assistance the family may require during the organization of the funeral. It's unclear when, but in Ashanti custom, they will have to hold the 1-week observation before they can announce the dates for the final burial and then the funeral rites. So on your short, some leading members of the MPP, including the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Kwabena J.J. You're also seeing the Vice President, who is also the flag bearer of the MPP for election 2024, the Chief of Staff, and of course, other leading members of the party. We are trying to establish connection with our correspondent who is stationed at the residence of the late MP, and then to bring you the interaction between the family and, of course, the government delegation led by the Vice President. This very, sad hour at the residence of the late MP who died yesterday whilst being transported from Kumasi to Accra to seek further treatment.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who has just entered his vehicle. The Chief of Staff, Fremos Opare, and other bigwigs of the party are also leaving as well. Because the family did inform the party that they will let them know of any arrangement concerning the funeral and anything thereafter. So that's the vehicle. That's the vehicle of the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And then the other vehicle is also that of the Chief of Staff, Fremos Opare. The chairman of the party, Stephen Ayensu Nti, has also exited the premises. The CEO of the NLA was also here as well. Former General Secretary of the party, Kwabena Ejapon, was also here to pay their respects to the former Deputy Finance Minister and MP for Ejuso constituency in the Ashanti region, Dr. John Kumah. Because it's been a solemn atmosphere here at his premises, and then a similar atmosphere is also being witnessed at Ejuso, where he was MP. Yes, the cause of his death is yet to be revealed by the party, or is yet to be made public by the party, even when they informed the Vice President of how his sad event occurred. They did not mention officially what the cause of his death was. So, I mean, this is the private residence of the late MP for Ejuso and former Deputy Minister for Finance and former CEO of NEIP, John Kumah. Let's get closer and speak to some of the people who have come here to mourn. Yes. Hi. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Yes. You're live on Joy News. I believe you knew Dr. John Kumah. What would you most remember him for?
I have been a member of his wife's church for some time now. And the first time I visited the church, he came to preach. And I was really amazed because you don't see much politicians or a politician being a preacher. So I respected that man very well, and I got very much happy when I realized he has been appointed as the Deputy Minister of Finance. I remember him for being a very good politician, a sincere finance minister, and a very fine gentleman. He was very, very patriotic, and we've really, really lost a gem as a party and as a country, Ghana.
Thank you. May his soul rest in peace. And yes, this lady here also wants to speak to us. Were you also a church member of his wife's church?
Yes, I'm a member of his wife's church, and Honorable has been a very good person to me and my family. He's a statesman, and we have lost a very great man. We pray we get a replacement. God grants us a good replacement as Honorable John Ampontia Kuma, and we believe that the Almighty God will grant him a good resting place in his bosom. Yeah.
Thank you. So that is a church member of his wife's church. Remember, the wife is a preacher here in the Greater Accra region, and they have been sharing their condolences to the late MP, Dr. John Kuma. Let's get closer and speak to more people who have come to pay their last respects to the late MP and then Deputy Minister of Finance. Hello, Madam. Would you want to speak to us briefly?
Hello.
Yes. What's your fondest memory of the late MP for Ejoso?
I just admire his faith, his tenacity. He keeps encouraging us with words of encouragement. And even though he was weak and he was sick, all his words were full of encouragement. I admire him and I love him so much.
His death came as a shock to all of us. How did you take it?
We were devastated, but the grace of God kept us. For we believe that he still lives on. So we are glad that our Heavenly Father has taken John Kuma to himself. There is nothing we can say than to praise him.
Some of the people that I've spoken to admired how religious he was. In terms of being religious also, how was he?
He was very religious. He's our church father, the founder's husband. So he knows the word. We are yet to launch our place, like grand opening of our church.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he asked us that we should put him on the 15th because he is ready to preach.
All right.
So as for him, very religious and strong faith.
All right. Thank you. Let me speak to our father here as well. You're live on Joy News. Dr. Kuma's death came as a shock to all of us, as I mentioned earlier. How did you receive the news?
We also received as a shock the same thing, because we are not expected that this bad news would happen. But we have nothing to say, but we say there's a will of God have taken place.
Thank you very much. Right, Elton, so these are some of the, people who have come here to mourn with the family, some of the tributes that they're paying to the late MP for Ejoso and Deputy Minister for Finance, Dr. John Kuma, there. And the family has mentioned that they will reconvene at a later date to inform the general public of the funeral arrangements, and then we will be here to bring you all the details concerning the funeral arrangements and anything thereafter. So from the late Deputy Finance Minister's residence in Accra, Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
Thank you very much, Kenneth Jesse. Now let me take you to the Ashanti Regional Capital and of course to Ejoso, because it's been 2 days and this is just one of the ways residents of Ejoso in the Ashanti region have described their late MP and Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. John Kuma. Since the news of his death broke yesterday, many of the residents have been wailing in the compound of his house, altering various ways he's been of help to them. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Osei-Mensah, who gives some details on events leading to his death, says the region has lost a great gem. I'll bring you that cue from the Ashanti Regional Minister later. This is the pause. We'll be right back after this short break. We are back on the pause on this Good Friday's edition. Now to the Ashanti Regional Capital, where the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital has launched a new remedy to deal with stroke cases. This comes, as I said, it admits over 1,000 stroke patients every year. That's quite, frightening. A figure in contrast to some 200 cases recorded 40 years ago. Clinton Yewa reports the hospital is resorting to time-bound and minimally damaged treatment to improve stroke treatment.
A decreased blood flow stroke occurs when the blood supply to parts of the brain is blocked or reduced by a blood clot. Stroke has been noted as the top rampant medical condition being recorded in the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. Treatment remains a challenge. While experts explore contemporary treatment methods, the drugs and medication previously used in stroke treatment did not dissolve blood clots, hence leaving patients with a permanent disability. Active stroke thrombolysis will administer clot-busting drugs and medication to dissolve blood clots in the brain. During an acute stroke, thrombolysis services will incorporate thrombolysis into routine stroke care at Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. At the launch of the implementation of thrombolysis services, consultant neurologist at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, Dr. Fred Stephen Safo, said the new method is revolutionary.
In the past, when somebody had a stroke, what we used to do was you admit the person and start aspirin. But those drugs in the past does not dissolve the clot that has been formed. And so the person will have a permanent disability. But in this intervention, the clot, which is the problem, the one that is causing the symptom, is what you are dissolving from the brain so that the person will be healed and the person will be cured, in essence. So it is revolutionary in that it is novel, it is innovative, and it can really improve outcomes for our patients.
Chief Executive of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, Professor Ochiri Adei-Mensah, says the hospital's new strategy is to optimize the delivery of tertiary health care.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, regrettably, challenges such as limited access to healthcare services, especially in the rural areas, low public awareness about the risk factors, symptoms and prevention of the disease, as well as shortage of specialized healthcare professionals skilled in the management of stroke cases have undermined the prevention, diagnosis and treatment of the condition in the country. In line with the hospital's new strategy to optimize the delivery of tertiary healthcare through innovation and research, management has supported the CACA multidisciplinary stroke thrombolysis team to commence the delivery of the special service to save stroke patients brought in time to this hospital from suffering the worst possible impact of the disease.
Deputy Regional Director of Clinic Care, Ghana Health Service, Rita Larsen Rendorf, is enjoining stakeholders to heighten public education on stroke.
I would just say that we are happy this is happening. We are ready to support, but immediate term, what we think that as a service we can do is with the awareness creation and educating people to suspect so that they report to you, the experts. And then we will call for the material, what exactly to say in educating the people, because you have the expertise. So we believe that for the immediate term, that is something that is a service in the region we can do to support this novel thing that has come.
Reporting for Joy News, Clinton.
Right, so the situation at the Komfo Teaching Hospital is coming on the back of several reported by other health facilities. So what really is going on? We've been looking at the figures and the numbers regarding stroke, and if this is what we have. So some leading causes of stroke: hypertension, alcoholism, diabetes, high cholesterol, tobacco use, secondhand smoke. I mean, these are some of the causes that we know. Now, over 78% of persons affected with stroke are not able to access post-discharge support, neither are they able to afford the cost for the treatment of stroke. And if you are looking at Komfo statistics, that's quite alarming. Stroke has been identified as the #1 cause of death at the Eastern Regional Hospital 2023. And our Komfo is also reporting almost same with numbers that quite, makes one uncomfortable. Now, 50 million people worldwide suffer from stroke annually. That's on a yearly basis. Of these, 5 million die. Another 5 million are left permanently disabled. That's, the effects of what you get if you are unable to treat it the way it's supposed to be. And whether or not you can permanently get out of it, that's another issue that we'll be discussing here in the studio. As you go and have your exciting weekend, you should always have at the back of your mind some of the things that, human activities can contribute to, bringing it to reality. So this is what we'll be doing this afternoon here on The Pulse. And I'm privileged to be joined by a very good friend, Dr. Josephine. You're welcome.
Thank you.
A way to meet. All right. So, I mean, we've been looking at the figures coming from Komfo. In the last few years, from 100 to now 500. I mean, why? What really is happening that we are reporting so many stroke cases across the country?
So when it comes to stroke, we don't have causes per se, we have risk factors. So the fact that we have risk factors, as you already listed, on the screen, it means that most people are now at risk of stroke, and we are also diagnosing more. Because, years back, people were not having access to health facilities like they have right now. So we're not catching most of the cases. Now, people too are now living much better lifestyle. People are indulging in alcohol the more. People are, not really taking care of their diet like they used to, because now they have access to all sorts of foods instead of the healthier ones that we used to have back in the days. So when you look at the risk factors, it's usually related to lifestyle a lot, okay, and the way we take care of ourselves. So now it tells us why it's on the rise, and also it's also because we are also diagnosing more.
So basically lifestyle, not immune lifestyle, or there could be issues of hereditary.
We have so the risk factors, when we take hypertension, diabetes, all these ones have genetic link to it. So some people are hypertensive just because they have the genetic predisposition to being hypertensive. Some people are diabetic because genetically, it predisposes them. But aside that, our health, the way we eat, alcohol, smoking, if we don't eat too well, although we have genetic components of cholesterol, you also, get high cholesterol level from poor diet. And all these things can also cause you to get diabetes, and it can make you also get hypertension as well. So it is intertwined. There's a genetic role, there's lifestyle role, and all these things coming together increases the chance of getting a stroke.
So Dr. Famia, is everyone at risk, or this is for a certain segment of the age bracket?
I think everybody is at risk. That is if you don't take very good care of yourself. Because you see, the risk factors for stroke are not limited to what we saw right now. There are more to it. Like if you take migraines, it can even give you stroke.
Really?
When you have like carotid stenosis, narrowing in some of your vessels in the neck, you can have it. If something like homocystinemia, you can have it. Sickle cell in children can cause stroke. So what we listed is not the only cause of stroke. There are other causes of stroke that are less common. But these ones are the dominant ones that we see most of the time. We have lots of people having hypertension, but not all of them are having stroke. Lots of people having diabetes. So it's neither here nor there. They are not direct causes. But since we are at risk of having these diseases, then we are at risk of having stroke as well.
Let me bring in the former medical director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba. Dr. Anaba, you're welcome to The Pulse here on Joy News.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you and to your cherished
viewers and listeners and your panelists in the studio.
So the question is, are we blowing this out of proportion, or this is a real danger that we must take some serious view of?
Can you repeat your question? I am currently in a rural community. The network is not very good, but if you could repeat your question.
Right. So, Dr. Anaba, I was asking whether we are blowing this stroke issue out of proportion, or this is something that we must take serious view of.
Not at all. Not at all. We are not blowing it out of proportion. It seems from the statistics we can see that hypertension, stroke, and then heart attacks are rising in Ghana. This is because non-communicable diseases are becoming now predominant more than infectious diseases, meaning that, like the doctor just finished elucidating some of the factors, we are not doing so well when it's coming to managing some of these things. People don't want to change their lifestyle. We are rather adopting very bad lifestyle that would cause more harm to us and intensify the occurrence of strokes and heart attacks and hypertension and diabetes. Looking at our daily activities alone, somebody gets up in the morning, wants to go to work from Kaffa to Accra. He sits in a car. He gets to work. He's stressed. He comes back he's going back to the house. He takes another 3 hours sitting in a car. Gets home. He's stressed up. Problems in the house. He doesn't eat well, and he doesn't do any exercise. At the end, even from dropping from the throttle, he takes another yellow to his house, meaning that he doesn't do any exercise. The only thing is sitting in a car, 3 hours to go to work, in and out, sitting at the office and then the rest. What we eat, now we see these sugary drinks being sold everywhere in the country. The young chaps taking what they call caffeine drinks, energy drinks all the time. And people who are prone to have that hypertension, even have family members with hypertension, do not even know that some of these things are causing risk to them to trigger their hypertension and then the rest. You get, let's say, children taking drinks that the sugar content in it alone would cause them more trouble, would cause them dehydration. All this would lead to hypertension and will lead to heart failures, will lead to strokes in them. There are some others too, they take some herbal concoctions. We see that a lot here in the north. They prefer to take herbal medications and believe in prayers, pastors, juju people to help them treat their hypertension, other than taking even hypertensive medication and following guidelines and protocols that would help them eat healthy, good food and live well. And they end up coming with strokes and so many other complicated diseases like renal failure that would even lead them to hypertension and strokes. And worst of it all, you see people eating food that has been prescribed as medicine for them. Brown gold. Ghanaians, we are seeing it a lot. Brown gold. Oh, I'm taking brown gold. I don't no longer take hypertensive medicine. Some of these, we are not educating them very well, and they are not also listening very well. And the few that should understand better are not even doing it. I get more stroke patients who are well educated than even the illiterates who come to my hospital. Meaning that there is something wrong. Meaning that the system, the culture, the society is not playing a positive role in managing patients, in managing the society not to get hypertension and its complications.
So, Dr. Anaba, when you spoke about the sugary drinks, I mean, you kept mentioning children. Does it mean that children are also at risk?
Look, they are at risk. I see a child, a small chap, drinking a bottle of Coca-Cola, who is just about 5 years. What does it mean? That is about 6 cubes of sugar. And he will not drink only one. He will drink one. Later on, he will drink another one. And you don't just know what they are doing. And parents are naive about it. And they think that the child wants it, so we give it to him. Even adults. I've seen an adult taking, at a go, 2 what do they call it, this energy drink. 2 at a go. With a lot of caffeine in it. This will trigger you to get high blood pressure. And they don't drink it only one day. They drink it almost every day. So our lifestyle, like the doctor said, is one of the main causes of hypertension and its related complications in our society. People don't also exercise. The stress levels in the country due to hardship, challenges at work, at home, economic, and the rest is also contributing factor to it. People not even able to sleep well because somebody has to wake up around 3 o'clock to bath and prepare and take a car around 5 o'clock before he gets to his workplace and then the rest. And some other communities, they don't just have a doctor to attend to them. Let me say that. I know of communities, hardly did I get a doctor. If you ask for somebody, what was the last time you measured your blood pressure? He will tell you he doesn't even know what blood pressure is because they don't have a doctor, they don't have a nurse that will go around measuring their BP. So we have cheap compounds, but the nurses perhaps don't even have the equipment to go around to do that unless you go to the hospital. So we are not even searching for the people. We are not educating them well, and some of them would fall to these complications of hypertension and diabetes.
Dr. Anaba, let me ask a final question so that I can let you go. So what do you suggest should be the way forward? Especially now that we are seeing so many reported cases of stroke. Now these are the hospital figures. That is quite frightening.
It's frightening. We need what we call public education. I think what we have in Ghana is advocacy. We've done a lot of advocacy. What we now need is education. Education means that we have to embed this into some of the teachings we do in our churches. Maybe you have a doctor in your church, he comes one Sunday, you give him some 30 minutes to talk about certain diseases to the public and then the rest, to demystify some of the things that they fear about hypertension, especially men. They fear to take hypertension medicine because they say they will become impotent.
Yes.
That is not true. It depends on your hypertension, the type of drug that you need, and there are ways to help you be potent when you are taking antihypertensive. Some of these educations need to be drummed into their ears severally so that they understand.
Thank you very much.
That way we will minimize the complications of hypertension.
Right, thank you very much, Dr. Thomas Anaba, formerly with the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. Let me come back to the studio. Dr. Josephine Awochukwuenu is still here. So, Doctor, a few things that I'm learning for the first time. Sugary drinks, energy drinks are all contributory factors. How? I mean, you are giving a sugary drink to a 5-year-old, and then there's risks attached to it?
So initially, I was talking about lifestyle. See, if you look at the kids of today, we have lots of childhood obesity, and it's stemming from the kind of things they are consuming. So the kids are taking lots of sugar, they are taking lots of fries, lots of fatty, foods. It makes them obese, and then this puts them at risk of developing diabetes and hypertension.
So therefore, for adults, it's a no. Is that what you are suggesting?
So it's about moderation. I wouldn't say don't do it at all, but it's about moderation. You should know when to and when not to. The quantity, the amount, the times. The fact that he or she is a 5-year-old doesn't mean the child is entitled to everything that is available. The fact that you love your child doesn't mean that whatever the child wants, you should give to the child. Because you put the child at risk, then 5 years, 10 years later, then the child starts battling with all sorts of things. You wouldn't know that it was because of what you did when he or she was younger, but then that could be the cause.
And again, a lot of people are walking around not even knowing whether their BP is high or is low. In fact, medical checkup is almost alien in this country, and that for me is a foundation to the discussion we are having.
For me, I think education, ignorance is the thing, because the medical checkup is not, really working because people are not educated, people are not aware. Okay, so first and foremost, we need to educate them. If people get to understand they need to do certain things, then they will do it. People don't do it because they don't understand and they don't appreciate it. But then, so I think we should start from education. If you're able to sensitize them, for them to realize that there is a need for that, then we can push them to go further and go get checked. And then we should also put down certain avenues to make it easy for people to get checked.
So for those who may not know their body index and maybe walking around thinking that everything is well with them because they don't have headache, they think that everything is fine. Then the next morning you hear another person collapse and then heart stroke. There are a lot of people around. There's so many stories that we hear of them. What should be the first step in terms of taking care of your body?
Okay, so aside getting to learn how to take care of yourself, I think everybody should at least once a year get a full check.
4 times in a year?
Once a year, at least. I think that one, for once a year, we should be able to afford it. Based on wherever you find yourself, getting your blood pressure checked, your sugar level, few things, getting your BMI, and then the basic ones. We're not saying push forward to do extra laps if you can't afford it, but the basic things like your blood pressure, your sugar levels, even if not at all, at least once a year.
And when you do that, what should you look out for in terms of guiding you going forward?
So we have guidelines, okay? So we have certain values that you shouldn't go beyond it. So now, based on when we check, when you are within range, we will let you know. If you are just above or you are you're in the danger zone, we will let you know. That's what education also comes in. Because if you know what is the normal, then the moment you go beyond normal, you get to know. You know, even with the blood pressure, our pharmacies are checking it. I mean, for 5 cedis, 10 cedi, you can go to the pharmacy and get your blood pressure checked. So even without going to the hospital, you can just badge it maybe every 3 months to say that, let me get my blood pressure. Because one of the things that's also causing hypertension is stress. We are stressed.
Yeah, of course, especially here in Accra.
Yes, we are stressed. So we should also try and get it checked. You don't even have to go to the hospital. Even the pharmacy near your house, they can even check for you. They can even check your sugar level for you if you don't have the money to go through the whole process of going to the hospital. Now, if you get to learn about it, then the moment you check, you know whether you are in the danger zone or not, if you have to see a doctor or not. There are certain things that we should see it as basic, okay, so that we don't have to get to, you know, the very bad, you know, level before we rush to the hospital when it's too late.
And then tomorrow is Saturday. I'm sure a lot of people will go to Peduasi and then do that usual jogging. Is that enough?
You see, if it's just actually,
and then after they come and eat the watch and the stuff.
Then we nullify the effects of the exercise. Exercise is very good, and I mean, averagely, it's advocated you do it 3 times a week. That is when we can say that you're actually exercising. And if we're exercising, it doesn't give you the licenses to do anything you want. The fact that you're exercising doesn't mean you can drink anyhow, you can eat anyhow. You see, it goes hand in hand for you to have a healthy lifestyle. So a bit of exercise, your diet, you know, having enough rest, sleeping well, all comes together. It's a package. Because if you do one and you don't do the other, you sort of end up nullifying the effects of what you are doing.
And then, but would you recommend that if I don't know the state that my body is in, and I'm hearing you for the very first time, I should just say that because you are talking about exercise, I should just, for example, start tomorrow and start exercising?
No. You see, there are some people, they have certain health condition that may not allow them to do certain exercises. Okay, so we are all not the same. You should know your baseline, how fit you are, before you can do certain exercises. So sometimes we actually have exercise consultants. I mean, they are not common in Ghana, but when you go to the gyms and all that, some of them have trained people, and you should also get to see your doctor to find out you don't have any comorbid condition. When I say comorbid condition, you don't have any hidden disease that you don't even know of. And if you know you have any disease, you should let your doctor know so that you know the level. Everybody can exercise, but you should know the extent, the kind of exercise you can do, so that you don't end up causing more harm than.
Because I understand that, I mean, some exercise can actually be of a disadvantage to you, especially if you don't know that you are hypertensive and you just go under the meter and start lifting and all these
Exactly. So you cannot just hit the gym or start running when you don't know your baseline, your underlying diseases, or the level, the extent to which you can go. And even if you are exercising, you build it bit by bit. That's why you usually need a trainer, because when you are starting and you just zoom in, you can actually hurt yourself. So you have to start bit by bit and grow gradually in the process. But I mean, small jogging here and there
will help. Yes. One key matter that is of concern to a lot of men, and a lot of men who are hypertensive and they are refusing to take their drugs, and the excuse is that it reduces their potency. Is that scientifically proved?
So we have different kinds of antihypertensives. We have different groups of medication, and they all have, based on how they work on the body, they have their own peculiar side effects. Okay, so what would work for you wouldn't work for somebody else. So when you are diagnosed of hypertension, we look at your age, we look at how bad, you know, the BPs are, we look at your other comorbidities to determine what would work for you. And when you start taking a medication and you think it is not working on you, you're supposed to come back to the doctor
for them to change for you.
To change for you, because something else would work for you. There's always one that would work for you. Okay, so what they are saying is not right. We have different groups of medication. Okay, so if you are taking a particular medication which is not working, just go back to your doctor. They will change it for you.
But hypertension drug doesn't cause impotency?
No.
All right, doctor, before you go, your final words to our viewers.
Okay, so what I would like to say is we are all at risk. There are several things that put us at risk of getting stroke, and nobody is exempt from it. However, we should take very good care of ourselves. And if you know you have any of these risk factors like was put on the screen earlier on, then please make sure that you get it controlled. If you're hypertensive, get it under control. Take your medication. If you're diabetic, do that. Make sure if you are drinking, drink, you know, religiously. If you are smoking, smoke religiously. I wouldn't say stop if you can't, but do it, you know, in moderation. Please, let's take care of ourselves. Let's try and go to the hospital. Let's get checked at least once a year. And then I think we can. You will be fine. You'll be fine. But you also do these tips on some of your blogs, and of course you enjoy this. Yes. Tell me a little bit about it. Okay, so I call it the TDJ Show, Time with Dr. Josephine. Now we have a new account. We had an old account that we had issues with. The new account is the TDJ Show 120. So on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We talk about all these things. There's a video on stroke, on diabetes, hypertension. Please do well, visit, and then listen. And I think it will help all of us. You're also the host of our new show, Health and Vitality. Yes. Also tell us about it. Okay, so it's also giving snippets of health education. I'll be coming on your screen every day to talk about something, you know, concerning your health. So please stay tuned. Don't miss any of our episodes. Dr. Josephine Awochi-Kweno has been my guest. Thank you very much for coming through. This is the pause here on Joy News. And then let's move to some other stories now. And the Nigerian Traders Union in Ghana says it has resolved its long-standing issues with Gupta and the Ministry of Trade. Now, in 2019, the shops of several Nigerian traders were closed amidst allegations of unfair trading practices and accusations of flouting Ghanaian laws. During a meeting to introduce the new national leadership of the Nigerian Traders Union in Ghana, Evaristus Nwako, the newly elected president of the union, in an interview indicated that the union has successfully fostered positive relationship with trade unions in the country. Also pledged to maintain compliance with trade regulations to ensure smooth operation. There's more in this.
Technically, our issues with Gupta and Minister of Trade has been resolved technically in a way. But you see, as for human relations, there are always issues. Our plea and our appeal has always been that they should give whatever they are demanding from us a human face. You know, this is Africa, where you have paucity of finance, paucity of capital. A lot of people who comes here and vice versa, a lot of Ghanaians are going to Nigeria, and those Nigerians who come here or travel to other ECOWAS countries or African countries, they don't really have much. But sometimes somebody who cannot be able to do some kind of menial job in Nigeria, when he sees himself here in Ghana, he will be doing it and be making legitimate money. And so the same thing in Ghana. Somebody who cannot do certain job here in Ghana, menial job, if he finds himself in Togo or Nigeria, he will start doing it. So this is why migration, in a way, is not criminal. But because of the modern laws and the states that the European has helped organize us, these laws sometimes they put a hurdle before the citizens of the countries. So Gupta themselves were fighting to protect their own territory for their members. And then unfortunately, we who have found ourselves here, we are in the verge of being extinct, because when you have a little capital and you are stopped here, it means that when you go to Nigeria, the strength may not be there for you to begin to work for that capital. Then suddenly the person may even die of high blood pressure and all that. This is all what the fight is all about, survivor. But we thank God that Gupta, led by His Excellency Dr. Joseph Obeng, has been very magnanimous, and they are trying to resolve and accommodate us. And what we are saying is that we can work together. Even their fears, the fears of Gupta, working together with us, we can be able to handle those fears, control things, the way things, people abuse certain things. Because people who respect themselves well or better, if they are part of an organized union, then when they are independent, they will begin to do so many things. And so tomorrow you hear somebody was caught doing some illegal, something was, something like that. So that is on the part.
And now the entire world, the focus is on Ghana this very moment, and at least for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Shortly, the 2023 Africa Games will open at the University of Ghana. The event, the 13th edition, kicks off with a spectacular official opening ceremony that will showcase the unique cultural heritage, sporting talent of the African continent, and of course, its diversity. The African Games, owned and organized by the African Union on behalf of its member states, brings together athletes from across the continent every 4 years. 1 year before the Olympics, it will showcase athletic talent, celebrate African cultural values and heritage, and promote solidarity and integration. Now, the theme for the 13th Africa Games is experiencing the African dream. President Akufo-Addo will be the special guest of honor right now, though the swimming competition began on Saturday, and Team Ghana begins on Saturday actually, and Team Ghana is set to battle the continent's top national for honors. Despite having never won a medal in the sports at this continental event, the team is determined to break what has become an elusive curse. Joy Sports' Haruna Mubarak visited the team and has come through with this report.
The Africa Games is finally here. And the swimmers are all in, committed to making their mark. This is a team united by a singular dream to stand out at the event.
Well, the association has really taken their time to bring in this quality of swimmers. We have a lot of swimmers in the country, but it's a statement that we want to make. I mean, looking at this facility and how we want swimming to grow in Ghana, it is best we bring the best qualities for this competition. And I think the selection here or the team here, I believe, is the best we have, and they are really going to make a statement for us here.
It is a team with a blend of experience and youth. Nubia Ejay, a 100-meter backstroke national record holder, is one of the senior figures within the group.
Improve my time, get better, and just move forward with all my individual strokes and relays.
How long has it been?
4 years.
What were you doing within those 4 years?
Just been training, getting ready, and really just trying to do my best at each competition that we've gone to.
How far have you grown within those 4 years?
I think steadily I've been growing. I've seen the improvements I've needed to make, and I'm hoping that it's all put into practice when I do this competition. So hopefully everything adds up.
The most experienced is Team Ghana's captain, Abeku Jackson. He holds national records in the 50 and 100 meters butterfly and was the only swimmer in the team who participated at the 2019 Africa Games in Rabat.
I mean, there's been massive improvement. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to being better than I was in Rabat. It's my home ground. I have home support. I have family, I have friends supporting me. So I can't wait for the meet to start.
Ghana has won 185 medals in its history at the African Games, but none from swimming. The swimmers have been in camp for several days, preparing intensely for personal development, and hopefully it's enough to end the drought.
I just hope to PB and get as big a PB as possible and really hold the flag up for Ghana. It would be nice to get on the podium for anything, and really just do my best. Yeah.
It's my dream to break regions. It's my dream. Like I said, every Ghanaian athlete here is hoping to get on the podium. It's home ground. We are hoping to give our best for our country and make our nation proud.
What I see from swimmers, I see that they're waiting. That they came here to show their best results, to swim their best times, and it's quite a different team because they're all coming from all the parts of the world. So someone's coming from UK, someone's based here, someone's coming like Beku, he's swimming with me in Russia. They all have kind of different approaches, but we're all here for the same goal: is to give our best. I can say we can take 1 medal for sure, because we worked hard. Especially, I'm talking, of course, with Beku, because I know him pretty much, because I'm his coach, and I'm sure that he has what it takes to get a medal here.
With every stroke, every breath, and every beat of their hearts in this pool, Team Ghana suggests they are not just preparing for a competition, they are preparing to leave a legacy. The African Games is on the horizon, and here comes Team Ghana. Haruna Mubarak from the Boteman Sports Complex for Joy Sports.
It was the very latest on the opening ceremony. I'm joined by a member of our sports team to help us understand the scope and Ghana's participation in the games. Daniel Cranton joined me via Zoom. Danny, this is the poll. So are we participating in all the disciplines?
Has quite a sizable team. It's been distributed in about pretty much all the various sporting disciplines. And as the ministry said, and when you talk to the various sporting federations also, they are pretty confident that we will increase in terms of our average medal hauls over the past competitions. They are feeling that this time around, because of home advantage, we'll have probably the highest that we've ever been able to achieve.
But you from the sports that you've been following their preparation towards this, which discipline do you think that we are more primed to take some medals home?
Historically, athletics has been the event that has given Ghana its most medals, and I don't think it's going to change. We have some really good athletes over the past couple of years. The 100-meter record and Benjamin Azama, the 200-meter holder in Joseph Oamwa, both of them have confirmed their participation in this competition. Remember that Ghana are also the defending champions when it comes to the 4x100. So when it comes to track and field, I expect Ghana to have a number. I don't think it's going to be anything different from what we've seen in previous competitions. I feel that if Ghana is going to have a haul of medals more than what we've seen in previous competitions, then obviously athletics will be the one that will give us a chunk of that.
And I see a live football match between Ghana and Congo ongoing at the Accra Sports Stadium, currently goalless.
Yes, the football competition has started. It started today with the Ghana versus Congo game. So that will be happening at the Accra Sports Stadium. Yes. The women's competition will be happening in Cape Coast. So that will be happening, both will be happening at the same time. So tomorrow, Ghana's female national team or under-20 national team, the Black Princesses, they are the ones representing Ghana at this competition. They will play in the evening at 8 p.m. So the entire women's competition will take place at Cape Coast. The men's competition will be happening at the Accra Sports Stadium. And we've also seen a number of competitions also start even before the official opening. We know that today is the official opening ceremony, but as far back as Monday, we saw table tennis start at the Accra International Conference Center. Badminton started yesterday. So these are just a number of competitions that have already begun before the official start. You know that Ghana's table tennis team didn't do too well in both the men's, the women's, and the team competitions. We failed to medal in that, but we are hoping that things will get better as the competitions officially start.
Charlie, thanks very much. And that's Daniel Cranton from our sports desk. Remember that Ghana is currently playing against Congo at Accra Sports Stadium. It's currently goalless 0-0. This is part of the Africa Games. But the opening ceremony is happening live at the University of Ghana Sports Complex. President Akufo-Addo is a special guest, and of course Shatta Wale, Kofi Kenyatta, and a host of others. They are the headline artists for the opening ceremony. Well, that's it for our show today, Friday. Go ahead and have a quality time with your family. Enjoy your weekend. My name is Elton Brobe. We shall be back on Monday with another exciting edition of The Pulse. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. LTS is up next on your television.